What do leathernecks, tall ships, subs, and 200 artists all have in common? They're all coming up next on It's Your San Diego. Welcome to It's Your San Diego. We've got a great half hour for you, so much to talk about. You know, San Diego has so many wonderful places to go, to visit, to see, things to do, that we bring them all to you right here on It's Your San Diego. And one that we have today is very special for you. It's the Leatherneck Museum. And joining me is Major General Bob Butcher, retired but never stops working, joining us today to talk about the Leatherneck Museum and a little bit about you, too, and about just the history of the Marine Corps in San Diego. It really is phenomenal.
Well, we got a long history in San Diego. We go back to the very beginning of aviation in San Diego, 1912, et cetera. And it's an amazing evolution that we've seen over the years. And we represent all that at the museum, at the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum.
And I'm not even sure everybody even knows that it's there, but it's on the Miramar base. And when you're driving back and forth on Miramar Road from the 805 to the 15, which tens of thousands of cars do a day, it's on the south side, and you see some aircraft, and that's really the very beginning of what is a very nice museum.
You can see up to 28 airplanes on on the museum grounds. Admission is free, and we are open from Tuesday through Sunday from 9 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon.
And this is the largest in the country, right?
It's the only aviation museum that the Marine Corps has in the world.
Which is pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing. We've got 48 airplanes total.
And when we talk about the history, I don't think people realize that they were flying the planes as early as 1912. Right? It's really what brought World War I to an end. Were aircraft.
Exactly. It was a great experiment to see what airplanes could do and how airplanes could help the war effort, and they turned out to be, it was a tremendous success.
Yeah, because for the better part of probably 3 years, it was just trench warfare, and it was a stalemate. Yep. And every now and then, one side would try and charge the other. They'd be wiped out for the most part. The other side would try, it went on and on. But it wasn't until they were able to bomb from the air that you were able to defeat your enemy. And we had superiority then, like we still do today, and that really has been important.
That was a large part of it. It became even more important during World War II. World War II and on. From there on, we really focused on aviation as being one of the primary supporting arms for the guy on the ground. You got to put the guy on the ground to win the war, but aviation certainly played a key role in World War II and in Korea, in Vietnam, and Desert Storm.
So what can people expect when they go to the Leatherneck Museum? Because they can see, helicopters, planes, the whole thing, right?
First thing you see, you can see one half of
Let's take a look. I love pictures. Okay, so this is what you see when you walk in, right?
That's when you walk out the door and look at the back side of the museum. That's what you see. You see all those airplanes, the fixed wing side of the site. The other side, in the other direction, is the rotary wing site, and you will see those airplanes, 28 of them, on right off Miramar Road.
Now, in this picture, on the very bottom here, is that a drone?
That is a drone.
How old is that?
That drone served until about 5 years ago. It served from Desert Storm, 1992. It served on until just a couple of years ago.
So we had drone technology back in the early 90s?
Oh yeah, we sure did. They weren't they weren't well utilized back then, but they've become increasingly important and increasingly valuable since then.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what's next on
the
list?
We have two pictures here for you to see. One is a picture of an SBD just drug out of the ocean, drug out of Lake Michigan. The SBD was used for carrier qualifications during World War II, and they used Lake Michigan because they wouldn't get shot at by subs.
You can't test in a combat theater.
Exactly.
No. So what did they do? They retrofitted some ships for training in Lake Michigan?
In Lake Michigan, and we did carrier qualifications there, the Marines did, during the whole war. And the guys that were qualifying were not very well qualified to be there. So we lost several airplanes in the evolution.
And this
is
was
one of them,
right?
And it was drug up out of Lake Michigan about 5 years ago. We started working on it about 3 years ago, and that picture that you see there now is where we are today.
It's
We're
beautiful.
getting really close to having it
takes a
complete.
lot of money to do this, doesn't it?
It takes money, it takes time, it takes volunteers. We do it all with volunteers.
Which reminds me, before we look at the next picture, if people want to make a donation to help us, they can do that right on the website, can't they?
They can do it on our website, www.flyingleathernecks.org. And we accept donations, we accept volunteers, we accept just about anything that you would want to offer.
Very nice. Okay, what other pictures we have? This is
We
great.
have here a picture of one of our museum members, and he is telling the children about his experiences. This particular officer entered the service right after World War II, and he was in Korea. He was one of the very first HMX pilots, the presidential helicopter pilots.
Oh, really?
And
Wow.
yeah, and he's talking to the kids there about
Telling
his
them stories.
experiences.
They looked mesmerized.
Oh, they are.
They really do.
They will be.
And this is a big trip, right? It's a
here
class
is
trip.
another classroom that is coming out, and they're being briefed by one of our docents again, and he's telling them about the aerodynamics of the airplanes that they can come and study when they come to the museum. And here you.
This is
And,
great.
and here you see a group of young children just entering the museum. They're there to touch and feel and see and
That's the
and
best
learn,
part about it, right?
And learn.
These kids, many of these never ever get to see an aircraft or touch
they,
it. You know?
They sure don't.
What's this one?
We also do open cockpit days, and we do open cockpit days every other weekend all summer long. So check our website to see the
So
the
that
first
means you
ones
basically
coming in
get
May.
climb right in the plane, right?
You climb right in the plane. You get a picture taken. You can have
The
your family
kid looks so happy.
take
That is
pictures.
amazing.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
All right, what's this one?
And then here is just one that I took a couple of weeks ago from showing the museum from the perspective of
That is something.
that's what it's all about.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
And you've seen it all. So to have you, you're being in charge of the museum, or basically the guy helping to coordinate all this, we're really very lucky to have you. We really are.
Well, I'm pleased to do it. I'm telling you, we have a great time. We have a great time.
So again, the hours are what time?
The hours are 9 to 3:30, Tuesday through Sunday. Admission is free. Right off Miramar Road, we have our own entry. You don't have to come through the central
I
guarded
see it's a little
gate.
angled gate right down on the far
Exactly.
west side of the base, right?
It sure is.
Yep,
And
wonderful.
it's there.
Major General Butcher, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you,
today.
Joe.
It's the Leatherneck Museum. It's right there on Miramar Road, so there's no intimidation with having to go through the base checkpoint, which these days can be a little intimidating. You just go down the Miramar Road side. It's a south entrance down towards the 805. I see it all the time. The last time I went here was many years ago, but I'm due for another visit. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about some other fun things. The Star of India and the Maritime Museum, well, those are the jewels of San Diego as well. We're going to talk about those. Welcome back. You know, the San Diego Embarcadero is a treasure trove of things to see and things to do. But without question, almost every single tourist that comes to town, and at some point everyone who lives in town, walks by the Star of India and all of the other ships that all comprise the Maritime Museum of San Diego. And with me today is Robin Gallant from the San Diego Maritime Museum and Laura Denon, who is from the Star of India, to talk about just how cool that little section of the Embarcadero is. And let's start by talking about the Maritime Museum, because that encompasses all of the boats and the subs that are there, right? The ships, if you will.
Right, not too long ago we had 3 vessels, and now we have an entire fleet, including a couple of submarines and static displays, things things in the water, things out of the water, things that you can get a ride on, and things that just kind of stay at the dock all the time.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of those. Okay, so the Star of India, you always see it because it's right up against the Embarcadero there. Then you have the little pier that you walk out. Let's talk about some of the things you see when you do that.
One of the first things that you're going to see is the HMS Surprise. She was in Master and Commander with Russell Crowe, so she's our little movie star. She was also in Pirates of the Caribbean 4.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, really? Really?
And
Okay.
last year's Super Bowl, she was blown up when they had the little tea party commercial for, I think it was Visa or American Express or something. So she's our little movie star. And then behind her, we have a Russian submarine from the Cold War.
I've been in that, and
Yes.
it is very cool.
It is very cool, and it's very primitive. It's amazing to think that people lived on that vessel for months at a time without seeing sunlight.
Yeah.
So we also have an American sub. The Navy was going to sink her or scrap her, and a lot of submariners in San Diego said, please save her. So we have the Dolphin with us as well.
And I've been on that one, and to see the difference between the two is amazing.
The contrast,
But even still, our more modern one is just, it's amazing that, there'll be, 15 people, 18 people in that thing
Yes.
for, long extended periods of time.
Very much so. And,
Yeah.
and some of them are big guys. You would think that they'd have to be small people, but some of the submariners are pretty big guys, but they enjoyed it. We also have the pilot boat, which goes out on bait cruises. We also have the official tall ship of the state of California called the California. So she is our tall ship. She goes out on the weekends, so you can go sailing. And we just built our $6 million baby. It took 4 years to build a replica of Juan Carrillo's ship, the San Salvador. So she is in the final stages of being rigged, and hopefully we'll get underway this fall for the first time.
Amazing.
Yes.
That is a lot, because I remember years ago, not to divulge my age or anything, but I remember in the 90s, when I was here, there were just 2 or 3 things to see there, and what would be a visit would literally take you maybe 2 hours and you were done.
At the most,
At the
yes.
most. Now it's a half a day to see all this stuff.
It really is, and the actual ferry boat Berkeley houses the museum. So she's over 100 years old, so we have no heat or air conditioning, and we try to get internet to come on this old ferry boat. So, but she houses beautiful exhibits and our offices. So
what are the hours? And tell me how people, tell me how the whole thing works.
well, first of all, people don't realize we're open 365 days a year. We never close. And we're open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the summer. So we're open pretty much every day, most of the day, day and night. So
And there's all kinds of special events and things that happen throughout the year, especially fundraisers and all of that, right?
absolutely. As a small nonprofit, everything that we do goes into either our education programs or back into maintaining the vessel. So everything we do is a fundraiser.
Right. And so where can people go? Well, the website, of course, but where is that where people go to make a donation if they just want to help out? And they're like,
Donation or drop by. We've got donation boxes at the museum, or just hand anybody in a museum shirt a check. We're happy to take it. We also accept people's items. Sometimes people pass away or some family heirloom, and it's amazing what people will have. Sometimes they just come over and pop their trunk and they have an old rusty anchor. They think we want that, but sometimes it's actually something of value that we would love to house in the museum as an artifact.
Alrighty, and then you brought Laura with you today,
I
so we
did.
can talk about the Star of India. Now, the Star of India has been here a long time. People say, oh, I remember when it first got here, but really, no one's around here when it first got here, right? When did it arrive in San Diego?
Probably not. 1927 it came to San Diego.
Yeah, so there aren't very many people. There might be a few, but there aren't many around when it arrived. But everybody thinks, oh, I remember when it got here in 1980 or 70, but no, 1927. And it's kind of an interesting story about how it actually came to be, right?
Yeah, so it came to San Diego to be an aquarium aspect of the San Diego Zoo, but unfortunately the Great Depression hit a couple years later. Right. So it kind of went into disarray. Was going to be scrapped for the Iron Hall, but unfortunately for us, it wasn't. And then in 1976, it did its first sail again after almost half a century. So that became.
And so many people. I mean, do you have any idea of how many people have been on that ship? Is there even an estimate? It's got to be 1 million people. Or more.
At least, yes.
At least, if not more.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, it's probably in the millions. And the ship has, obviously, what I remember most about it is the 5th grade trips. Our school in 5th grade, we spent the night on the Star of India. And Julie was our captain at the time, and she was phenomenal. And I mean, thousands of kids have learned to love Julie as a captain, but they don't realize that the captain changes. So if you do it one time, it's one captain, and that captain might be a deckhand, right? And so tell me how that whole thing works with the actual cast.
Yeah, so the living history programs run mainly during the school year. Our education staff has had some returning members of kids that are now older and they work for us, or teachers that retired and they want to work for us as well. Mm-hmm. They can be a captain, a cook, a first mate, second mate, just varies throughout their career with us. We also do science programs. and just general tours. So yeah.
There's a lot that's going on.
Yeah.
And the overnight thing, which is what we're talking about right now, is when your class, your students' class, they go and they spend the whole night there. So they arrive late afternoon, I guess, and then you're there all the way through till the morning. And they role play everything they need to do just as though they were living in the time. And it's one of the experiences in life that you actually remember. And you have a lot of experiences as you go through life, but nobody who's ever been on there ever forgets that night they spent on.
Yeah, they cook rat stew for supper and mush for breakfast. Swab the deck. We put them to work.
Oh yeah, I was one of those people. I was even the parents. So if you volunteer, just telling you, if you volunteer to be a chaperone, you are not sleeping in some cushy bed somewhere. You're sleeping on the hardwood like everybody else. And in the morning, you're going to be cleaning dishes or the bathroom or the deck or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And summer camps and things like that, are there?
We don't do summer camps, but we do have a lot of tours. Like camps come and just do a tour with us, or we do a family overnight, so the whole family can come back with the kid and spend the night on the boat and do the same thing.
And how often does the Star of India actually sail?
So it attempts to sail every year on its birthday in November, but it hasn't sailed the past couple years because it's under maintenance right now. So hopefully it'll be up.
And it was originally a merchant ship? What was it originally?
It was a cargo ship. So it took lots of items from England all the way to India. And eventually, over time, it was sold. It was emigrant ship, so taking people from England to New Zealand, and then taking salmon from Alaska when it was sold to the Alaskan packers, and that's when the name changed to Star of India.
Wow. So it was a working vessel up until
the
probably
20s.
around 1920s.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so let's go over websites information one more time again. So the Maritime Museum website is
sdmaritime.org. We also have Facebook and Twitter accounts, so you can sign up to get one of our emails if you'd like, or email blasts, and follow us on Facebook. There's always something going on at the museum. It's an ever-changing, evolving ecosystem, if you will, at the museum. So sdmaritime.org has everything that you need to know about upcoming events, education programs. We also can do weddings or special events on any of the
really?
vessels,
All
things
right.
like that. So
so you can get married? Really?
Absolutely,
Oh, that's
absolutely.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
And fundraisers, right? People do fundraisers all the time.
Absolutely, and we also have a membership. If you want to join the museum, become a member. We have member events, and those raise funds to keep the ships afloat.
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Robin. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having
joining me.
us.
Laura, thank you very much, Laura. It's great. Like I said, out of all the things that I can remember that I've done in San Diego, that night on the ship is one of those. And the funny part about it is, it was Creekside Elementary School over in Sabre Springs, but they didn't do it every year. And so the way it worked out was, I have two daughters, and one got to go on the ship and the other one didn't. Now, she went on the Gold Rush tour that they do up in Sacramento, so it wasn't like that she missed out on something, but I think she really wanted to spend the night on the Star of India.
Well, I think they have such a good time with the education program is that we now have the family overnight, so you can just come with your family and spend the night without being part of a school program, but you get the same experience.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you guys very, very much.
Thank you for having
and,
us.
Look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Alrighty, when we come back, there's a hidden gem in Balboa Park that you're going to learn about. That's home to about 200 artists, and you could be one of them, and you can go visit anytime you want. We'll tell you all about it, and it's free. All that when we come back. Welcome back. So let me ask you a question. How many times have you been in Balboa Park? Think about it. It's probably a lot, right? How many times have you been to the Spanish Village Art Center? If you haven't been there, it's a place you want to go to the next time you go. And joining us is the Vice President of the Spanish Village Art Center, Daphne Gaylord, and you've brought with you Holly Simonet as well, and she's an artist. And
Correct.
It's really an amazing place, and so I can't really explain it and do it justice, but you can. So there's a lot going on in that little area.
It's a great little place. It's got kind of a romantic Spanish village atmosphere. We have 37 working studios. We have over 200 artists. And by working studio, that means that there's actually artists in there creating things, which you can go in and look at or buy. It's a wonderful place to go for just a lunch. There's several restaurants around the area, and then you can shop.
So it's set up as a village. So when we say real quick, Spanish Village Art Center, but it's a Spanish village. It's set up with shops
Correct.
and places to sit and watch people create all kinds of artwork, and it's really an amazing little spot.
It is, and they also have a lot of classes and events there that are very exciting. We have adult classes, we have children's classes, we have camps. You can learn to do anything pretty much that you see there, you can learn to do there also.
We're surrounded by some amazing art and this is all the stuff you brought over today. And some of it's just beautiful. And all of these, the artists who make this and draw this and paint it and create it, whether it's something made like this, right, by hand.
Right, that's a hand-stained purse with a drawn motif on it from
Beautiful.
Studio 20, I believe.
And then there's I love this picture because it's also on your website. It's the banner on your website.
Correct.
Is that picture. And the artist, because you can meet all the artists when you're there, Susan K. Smith did this, and it really is beautiful.
It is beautiful, and it really captures the feel of the village itself.
Yeah, I'm amazed by people who make things and create things, and Susan did a fantastic job. Here's another real beautiful piece right here, and when you look at this from a distance, it has this really cool 3D look to it.
Right, exactly.
And this was made by I don't know if I have the card in front of me.
No,
here,
it's not on there.
But
I'm
it's
not
just
sure.
really, it's just very creative people. And let's talk a little bit about these two that are behind us.
These are great. These are things that you will actually see in Balboa Park. And this one's a really nice oil, and I'm not sure what that one is. I think that one's an acrylic, but the colors are very lively. And
This is really beautiful. I'm going to move it over here so we can take a closer look at it. But it's just, it's just so friendly and warm and bright, and
Right.
I think it's done by, is it Dan Knapp or something like that?
Don Knapp.
Don Knapp. Yeah.
Yes,
it's just.
he does a lot of great work, very colorful, very vibrant colors he uses in his work.
Very, very nice. So I'll put that over here. Then I've got another smaller piece. And you have a show going on right now, right, where everything being done has to be, what's it called? What's it called?
It's called the Small Image Show,
Yeah.
and everything that goes in there has to fit within a 10 by 10 box to be able to go in the Small Image Show. So this is Janet Nelson. She does quilting art. That's one of her pieces. And then the teapot over there is also from the Small Image Show, and that's by Elizabeth Woolrich.
It's really very nice. And this is beautiful, too.
And that's my work. That's a reverse glass painting.
Oh, you did that?
Yes.
Oh, very, very nice. It's beautiful.
And I do the paintings, and then I make the jewelry next to it with the images from the paintings that I do.
Very nice. And not to be unnoticed, you're leaning on artwork. I mean,
Right.
This is right. So let's talk about this real quick.
This is Holly's work, and I think she could probably explain it better than I.
All right, so Holly, you're one of the artists who's there regularly, right? You have your own space there.
Yes.
And you weave, right? So talk a little bit about how you started, why you love it so much, and your work. Here's another one
Here,
back
yes,
here.
let's bring
It's
this
just,
out.
It's astonishing. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Well, I started weaving because somebody gave me a loom, and I figured I better learn how to use it because it was taking up a full room in our house.
So someone just gave you a loom,
Yeah.
right? So where do you learn? So are you a self-taught?
No, I apprenticed with Beryl Warrens up in Santa Isabel.
Okay.
And so she has a weaving academy up there, and she taught me
Really?
not quite everything she knows, but a lot enough to get started and start creating some.
I don't know if most people have even seen how a loom works. So explain how this works. And it's a very complicated piece of equipment. I mean,
So-
to me, it looks complicated.
The basic is that this is the warp and this is the weft going back and forth, and each piece of thread or yarn gets threaded through a heddle eye, and that they get put on the loom. I thread them through in patterns so that when I'm lifting up, when I'm pressing on the pedals and the frames are going up and down, that's what creates the weaving pattern, then creates the fabric.
And you have everything, if you've done it long enough, everything's just pretty much memorized to you for the foot pedals, but that has to take a little bit of work to learn how to operate all that.
Yeah, the coordination took me a little bit, and the tension, making sure that I was pulling it, the weft thread through. so that my edges would be even too. So I've been weaving for about 5 years now. And
Really,
working
only
in
5 years?
Yeah.
This is really,
Yeah, look at these.
that
They're
is very
beautiful.
amazing.
Well, I've been knitting for about 20, so I'm used to working with fiber and yarns, so it all helps.
Very cool. And people can learn how to do this kind of thing. There's maybe not that particular thing, but there are
There are classes, and on our website you can go and it will have a list of classes. It has a list of the studio, a list of the artists, events we're having, how to obtain a membership, which is a great membership, especially if you're a young artist, maybe 18, just getting out of high school. If you get juried in, you can show your artwork on the patio all year long, with the exception of special events. And it's a great venue for any young starting artist.
So let's talk about some of the individual studios. So there's pottery, ceramic, paint,
Right.
watercolor, oil. What are some of the other ones?
Well, I'm in Studio 19, which is the glass blowing studio. They blow glass right there on the patio. And Andy is the glass blower there, and she gives instruction. And then we have about 4 or 5 other glass blowers that have been juried in, and you can buy their beautiful creations in the studio. We have enamel works, and then there's fusion glass, which is more like beads and jewelry, things like that. You can learn to do pottery. I mean, there's just so many different things that you can learn to do there.
That's amazing. So how many shops altogether?
There are 37 working studios. There's actually 41, but a couple are set up for office areas. And we have a great office, so you can always call there too and find out any information that you would
And I
need.
noticed when I went on the website, the small art exhibit you're doing now was the 41st annual. So
Right.
how long has the Spanish Village Art Center been there?
It's been there for, I believe, and don't quote me, I think 1935. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. What a wonderful place. So
Yeah.
it's SpanishVillageArt.com. That's the website.
Correct.
And you'll see that picture we showed you a minute ago as the banner on the actual website. And from there, you can do everything from find out what kind of programs, learn about the shops, make
Exactly.
a donation, do any kind of fun things that you want
Correct.
to do from there. Thank you, Daphne,
Thank
very,
you.
very much for
Nice
coming
to meet
out.
you.
And Holly, thank you. And this
Thank
is
you.
amazing. I am always blown away by people. Like I said during the commercial break, I said, the only thing I know how to make is a mess. Other than that, I have no artistic ability in my body whatsoever. So when I see this, it's really, really amazing. So that'll do it for this episode of It's Your San Diego. We'll see you again next week.